and Infinity Sports.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
Holy Jesus. What is that?
It's time to get in the game.
Do you know what time it is?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis.
To me, you are nothing.
Your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Come on, start it up. Let's go.
Catch us Monday through Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time. I am your host, Jalen Gillis, here on this Monday, a couple days away from Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Want to thank you guys for tuning in with us today, whether that is on YouTube, Centex Sports TV, whether that is on Infinity Sports Radio Central Texas, or if that is on Centex Magic 94.5. Folks, getting ready to take you through the primetime topics in sports, not just in the Central Texas area, but from all around the nation. Once again, want to thank everybody for tuning in with us. Happy holidays to everybody out there. It's a couple days before Christmas. All the stores are packed right now. The highways are starting to get jammed up a little bit. Everybody's making their Christmas preparation. So definitely want to thank you for taking the time out of your day today to listen to me, whether that's in your car, at home, on TV, on YouTube, or whether that's on Infinity Sports Radio Central Texas. Thank you guys as always. Well, folks, we got a full show here today, as this is going to be the only show of the week. We're taking off for the holidays this week, but I didn't want to leave the whole week without coming to you guys and saying something. So got a lot to talk about today. Full weekend, obviously. High school state championships just wrapped up this weekend. First round of the college football playoffs just wrapped up this weekend. And we are about 2 games away from the end of the regular season in the NFL. So lots to talk about here today, folks. We'll get right to it. Joining me in studio today, got the person you heard all year long right here on Centex Magic 94.5 for La Vega Pirate Football. Mr. Ced Eigerhart in here with me. Ced, what's going on?
Hey, man. Merry Christmas to you, man.
Appreciate it. It's also Ced's birthday today, so happy birthday to you, Ced. And make sure y'all give him some birthday shout-outs, too, if y'all see him around today.
Watch it on YouTube. I had to rock the special birthday. Eagle leather hat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is a different one. And, yeah, like you said, happy birthday to him. And knew he was going to come on with some Eagles paraphernalia for sure. He said he brought the special one out today for his birthday. And, folks, we'll jump right into it. Before we start talking about the news of the weekend, which is the college football playoffs from round 1. Some people feel like it went great. Some people feel like it went terrible. Everybody's got mixed reviews. Before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about the state championship game. Got a chance to go out there to AT&T Stadium to watch that La Vega Pirate team play their final regular season game. They came up short in that game against a really good Carthage team, a team that you see why Carthage is 10 for 10 in the state championships under Coach Surratt. Very well-coached team, a lot of great players on that team. But La Vega went out there and held their own. It was a game, the entire game, to probably the last few minutes of that. It was great to get to see those seniors. You know, getting to end it off in the state championship, I said it during the broadcast with Rocky on there, getting a chance to end it at state is an accomplishment, whether they see it like that or not right now. Obviously, they're probably mad about losing. But
you don't see it in that moment.
Yeah. But most people's seasons end or high school careers end on week 10 of the high school season. So for you to be able to get a chance to go all the way down there and then get to play at AT&T Stadium with your brothers, it's a great accomplishment. said, what was your first thoughts about the game and how things go? I know you were tuning in and listening or watching, however you were getting to see it there. And what was your first thoughts about this La Vega versus Carthage matchup in the state championship game?
Yeah, I wasn't able to get in on the broadcast until the second half.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was just sitting there watching the game, and I kept thinking to myself, they're still in this thing. They have a chance to make the one big play to a defensive force a turnover, and they're right back in this. There were people, I've heard some of the media coverage about this said that Carthage dominated La Vega. I didn't see any domination. I definitely didn't see that. At least the second half that I saw, and because it was so close, there couldn't have been any domination in the first half, right?
Yeah.
But we saw La Vega do what they pretty much done all year. They continued to fight. They continued to grind it out. They gave great effort, no matter, even though they were behind on the scoreboard, they continued to give great effort. And this is kind of the spirit of this year's La Vega Pirate football team. Always fight, keep going until the clock hits triple zeros.
Yeah, that's, I mean, like you said, that's no better way to personify this team. You fight all the way to the end of the game, no matter what the score was, and that game didn't get away from them to the last couple of minutes of that game. But they were right there in the middle of the third quarter with a pass that just barely went past the fingertips of Jabari Thornton. They had a chance to tie that game up right in the middle of the third quarter, just wasn't able to do that. What really stood out to me, and when I talked to other people that got a chance to see the state game, I got some of my friends from the DFW area that got to come watch. They haven't got a chance to watch this La Vega team all year, and they were extremely impressed by the sophomore Courtney Parr and seeing how he was able to maneuver his way around on that field. Got hit a lot in that game, took a lot of big hits, had to do a lot of third and longs. But some of those throws that he was making, they were shocked that he was a sophomore. They thought he was an upperclassman type of guy. Well, first off, just off his build alone, and then some of the throws he's making, I'm like, nah, this kid is a sophomore, man. He's a young kid, 15 or 16 years old. Being able to make some of those throws in that game against a defense like that really just stands out. And you've got a chance to see Courtney Parr since his first start.
Yeah, one of the
district.
things that we've consistently talked about is how Courtney Parr just got better and better from week to week. And in that state, I mean, at this point, is it even right to call him a sophomore? Yeah, because he grew up so much throughout the season, and because going into the season, it was like, okay, do we go Hernandez? Do we go Parr? And then we started to see Parr kind of separate himself a little bit before they got into district play, because he played well against Salina.
Yeah,
who
yeah,
also won a state title over the weekend. Mm-hmm. So he's shown up in big games, and he's cut down on the mistakes. So to see him play the way that he played against Carthage, I was not surprised at all.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't surprised. This is kind of what I expected after seeing the way that he played against that Wimberley team in the game right before that. I was like, man, Courtney Parr, he's ready. He's taking that step, and he's ready to be a leader of a football team, which he's going to have to do next year when he comes back for this La Vega team. A team that I think has another chance to be right back in this exact same game. They're losing some big dogs, but they're going to bring up some of those younger guys, and then they're keeping a Courtney Parr. They're keeping a Jabari Thornton. And some of these
Jalen Hernandez is coming back.
Yeah, Jalen Hernandez will be back in there. Caden Rowland, a lot of guys, both playmakers on both sides are going to be coming back. So, man, this La Vega team, great job all year long. Coach Hyde did a great job. Really, I said it on the broadcast, really a coaching chess match and almost a master class that we got to watch in that game between Coach Hyde and Coach Surratt.
Yeah, does it get any better than Don Hyde versus Jeff Jeff Surratt?
Yeah.
And it was a special win for Coach Surratt, not just because they went 10-10, but his son Jet was the quarterback, and he made a lot of nice plays in that game. A couple of touchdown passes. I think they both went to Junior Henderson, and then to complement that passing game that they had what, and I've seen this on at least one scouting report. KJ Edwards, top 5 running back in the nation. I saw on one scouting report. And we saw he had the 86-yard touchdown run was spectacular. He also had a 21-yard run. So La Vega was up against a very talented Carthage offense.
For sure.
But like I said, even though they buckled a little bit, they may have bent a little bit on defense, but they never really broke.
Oh, no. That La Vega defense kept them in the game from start to finish. They played amazing. That Carthage defense just played great as well and caused a couple turnovers here, caused a couple mishaps, turnovers on downs. But that La Vega defense played great. As good as that offense was, if it wasn't for that 86-yard touchdown that he broke off there in the first half, they would have almost shut that Carthage team out in that first half with how great their defense was playing.
Yeah, and it really took an explosive play like that in order for them to separate themselves. And this is also a game where I believe, didn't Carthage have like 7 sacks?
Yeah. Man, that front seven. I mean, we talked to the radio guy for Carthage before, and he said, hey, if 72 has a good game, we're going to have a good game. And 72 had a good game for Carthage. Man, that dude was playing his tail off the entire game. And that entire front seven. I knew that their front seven was good just from me watching film on them from their last few games of playoffs. But, man, that front seven really stepped up in a huge way. And hats off to both teams, man. Hats off to both teams there. They both made it to state for a reason. Both really didn't have a close game in the playoffs until that game. That was both of their first game in the playoff run. And one of the Vegas losses being to a Salina team that was in the state game right after that. And Carthage, their only loss on the season was to a Kilgore team that played against Salina in the state championship team. So both teams battle-tested.
And that was a game that Salina actually blew Kilgore out, 55-21, So it talks about the quality of these programs, at least that the teams they had this year, to be able to breeze. And this is what La Vega did. They were able to pretty much breeze through district play.
Yeah.
And then breeze into the state game.
Yeah.
You can't do that unless you have a good football team.
You have to have a great football team to be able to do that.
I say breeze. I don't want to make it sound like it was easy. They put the work in.
For sure.
So these guys work their tails off in practice. They put the work in, and the coaches spend the extra hours game planning, but they made it look so easy.
They did. They did make it look easy, and that was a lot of that what me and you've talked.
Never miss the hilarious Ricky Smiley.
Number one show in the city.
All right, Tuesday on the Rick Smiley Morning Show. It's Paternity Test Tuesday. You don't want to miss it.
A state championship team. You play against the West Orange Stark. You play against the Stephenville. Yeah, I mean they were playing some elite programs going into it. So hats off to La Vega and their program this year on an amazing football season, and I'm glad that we got to be a part of that journey for sure and get a chance to watch this team. Can't wait to be able to watch them some more next year. It seems like a long way away, but we're going to look up, and it's going to be 2 days already, summer camp time. So definitely shout out to the La Vega program, and had a great time getting a chance to cover you guys' program all year. I enjoy watching a lot of those state games. One of the main ones I enjoyed watching was that North Crowley versus Westlake game, and I've been watching this North Crowley team all year long. Everybody was saying, well, they're not going to – after they beat DeSoto, they kind of woke everybody up in the middle of the season, and everybody was, they're not going to do that to Duncanville. They beat DeSoto, but they won't beat Duncanville. Then they end up playing Duncanville in the state semis, beating the Duncanville. Then they get a chance to play against another powerhouse in Austin Westlake, and they beat them pretty handily. And doing it, throwing a flea flicker touchdown on the first play of the game, which was ridiculous to me. But their receiver, Gibson, I've liked him all year long. I still have no idea how some of these recruiting platforms has him listed as a 3-star. I think he's got 2,000 yards and 30 touchdowns playing 6A Division I ball.
Yeah,
I mean,
video game numbers and 6A like that. Yeah,
I don't see how he's a 3-star, but he's headed off to Colorado to play with Coach Prime, where he's signed to play football at. But
in the state, because it wasn't 5-6 years ago, these guys were doormats.
Yeah. Blowout every game. They were getting blown out almost every single game.
Oh, yeah.
Because they got so many kids. They're stuck in that 6A Division I, so you got to play those top guys.
Yeah.
And they were getting beat up. And, I mean, one of the best high school championship runs just this year, and the teams that they beat a Duncanville. They beat DeSoto. They beat Westlake. They beat Crowley. They beat a lot of teams. I think they beat 9 teams that made the playoffs this year. So, I mean,
wow, you talk about running a gauntlet.
Yeah. They played some of everybody up there out of Fort Worth. Not many we don't see a lot of Fort Worth teams going out of there unless you want to count maybe Aledo. That's more of suburbs of northern Fort Worth. But we don't see a lot of Fort Worth teams getting a chance to go. So I thought that was great that those guys got to go out there and represent for their cities, man. I seen them with the 817s on their helmet. They're representing for the whole Fort Worth out there. And I definitely enjoyed watching them. Is there any other state championship games that kind of jumped out to you that you were like, oh, this was a really good game or a really good matchup?
Yeah, I think the best game, like the most competitive game over the weekend, was the 2A D1 game, Ganado against Stanford.
Yeah.
You know, that one really went down to the wire. I think it was 30-28 was the final score. That was easily the most competitive game. There were some blowouts there. You know, now I used to cover high school football down in the Gonzales area, around Victoria and Shiner, and I was happy to see Shiner. Was in the state game against Munster. They ended up on the short end of the stick, 36-29. But I can tell you from experience, a lot of good football down there.
Oh yeah,
played down in that area that they call it the Crossroads area.
Yeah,
you know, but you know they're smaller schools, so they're not going to be household names. But yeah, a lot of good football down there. So yeah, that was pretty much what stood out, to me over the weekend.
Yeah, there was lots of good games. Like you said, South Oak Cliff, they came up a little bit short, too. They played against a really good team.
Oh, Oak Cliff and Randall.
Yeah, and Randall. That was a really good game as well. And Oak Cliff came up a little bit short in that, but really good game.
And the 6A D2 game was competitive.
Yeah, with Vandergrift. Yeah.
Vandergrift and South Lake Carroll. That was a competitive game.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was. Lots of good football, man. I mean, obviously, I'm biased because I lived in Texas my whole life, but Texas got the best high school football, man.
We do.
I know we got some listeners on here that are from some other states.
California, Florida, it's still Texas. I'm sorry.
It's Texas, man. Only one in my opinion, only one I listen to is Florida, but I'm still gonna pick Texas. California, I don't want to hear. I barely got California over Georgia. Maybe Georgia got some good high school football too. So
Georgia has come on lately.
Yeah,
you're right.
Georgia got some really good high school football too, but Texas is obviously number one. Folks, so that was the high school football state championships here in Texas for UIL State Championship Week. Want to go over to the first round of the college football playoffs. First time we ever got to see a 12-team bracket. First time we're all getting experimented on watching these games and seeing how this 12 teams works out. And we got some good games, and we got some very lopsided games, and which has some people mad. Some people say, oh, I told you that they weren't going to. Well, you didn't know that these teams were going to get blown out like that or that this was going to happen because they could have stuck somebody else in there and they got blown out. And it's not like just the first time we've seen somebody get blown out in the college football playoffs. I mean, Notre Dame got a win this weekend, but we all remember Notre Dame versus Alabama in 2012 in that championship game.
Notre Dame has made it a history of putting up these impressive regular season records and just laying an egg in the playoffs.
Yeah.
We've seen that more than once at Notre Dame.
More than once.
And that was mainly the reason why I thought Indiana had a shot to win that game.
Yeah.
I really thought Indiana had a shot to win that game.
I did too, and we were talking about that one.
Now, once you watch it, you knew. But yeah.
After the first quarter, we knew. I was like, I'm glad I told everybody to take Notre Dame money line because that one they could have came back and got me on that. But I want to go right to that game. That was the first game of the college football playoff weekend, Notre Dame versus the Indiana Hoosiers. I did pick Notre Dame money line, but I thought Indiana would be able to clean up some of those points and make it more of a close game. And obviously, I was wrong about that part, as Notre Dame pretty much dominated this game all the way through. Indiana scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, which kind of made it seem like it was closer. But Notre Dame dominated in this game. And one of the reasons I picked them to win was Jeremiah Love, who had a great game, who had that 98-yard touchdown early in the game to get the scoring started in that first quarter. Riley Leonard didn't turn the ball over like that. He had one pick, but for the most part, he didn't turn the ball over a lot. They also didn't give him a lot of opportunities to mess up either. He had 200 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Jeremiah Love, 108 yards and a touchdown. And Jordan Fajon, 7 catches, 89 yards for Notre Dame. On the Indiana side, just could never get the offense going. Their defense didn't play just terrible. I mean, they gave up 17 points in the first half and ended the game only giving up 27. So it's not like their defense played horrible, but their offense really put them in some bad spots. Rourke, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Ellison, only 37 yards. Tyson Lawton, only 34 yards. So they never could get the run game going like that. So that Indiana team, honestly, just looked outmatched. Notre Dame looked bigger, stronger, faster. And they came out there and they won that game pretty handily.
Yeah, and I was kind of surprised because I don't know if you had a chance to look at the pregame speech that Coach Signetti gave. Mm-hmm. That fired me up.
Yeah, I was watching it.
That fired me up. And I'm like, oh, man, they finna go out here and get after this, get gap somebody. And, when they went down in the first half and, they came out of the locker room, there was no passion. So when you don't have any passion, plus and what seemed like an inability to make adjustments, you really don't stand a chance to win a game.
You don't. Yeah, I agree. And like you said, and if they did have any passion in that first, maybe first quarter, after that 98-yard touchdown, you kind of just saw all the wind go out of the sails.
Well, it's like Mike Tyson.
Indiana.
Mike Tyson said the best. Everybody got a plan until you get hit in the mouth. And they got hit in the mouth with that with the 98-yarder. Yeah.
And from that point on, it wasn't really even competitive. It was 17-3 at halftime, and it was pretty much 20-3 until that fourth quarter where Indiana kind of gave a couple touchdowns, but it was already past the time at that point, just kind of playing for pride. But Notre Dame, got to give them props. They came out there and they took care of business. Like you said, this is a team historically that lays eggs in the college football playoffs pretty much every year since the college football playoffs started.
Every year since the CFP started. That's right.
Because they put them in every single year, and every year they lose in the first round. So it's a 12-team playoff this time, a little bit different, but at least they got out of that one.
So maybe we got to wait until they get to the Final Four.
I don't have them winning another game. I don't have them winning another game. I picked Notre Dame money line this week. I don't have Notre Dame winning another game until they play Army or somebody next year. That'll be next time they get a win. But in this game, they got to win 27-17 over Kurt Cinetti and the Indiana Hoosiers. So that game ended up being kind of one of the more closer scored games, I guess you could say. I wouldn't say the most competitive game.
No, it definitely wasn't competitive.
It wasn't competitive at all, but that ended up being one of the more closer scored games. The next game on the lineup after that was Penn State versus SMU. Now, this is a game that I picked Penn State to win this one, but once again, I thought SMU was going to make this closer. I picked Penn State to win because of the weather conditions. These SMU kids, they ain't felt that type of cold out there that it is in Pennsylvania.
It don't get that cold in Dallas.
No, it don't get nowhere near that cold. It's 70 degrees in Dallas right now. But it was freezing out there in Pennsylvania. They got 110,000 people screaming at you out there at one of the biggest stadiums in the nation.
In the country, yeah.
In the country with Penn State Stadium. All those people screaming at you. And then Penn State just being able to dominate running the football. That's the reason why I picked them to win. I can't take any credit like I picked them to win by this much. 38-10 was the final score. Penn State just steamrolled over SMU and the Mustangs. SMU held scoreless in the first half. It was 28-0. Now, a lot of that is because of what I didn't want it to be from, which was Kevin Jennings playing bad. He's played great all season long, the quarterback for SMU. I still have him as a Heisman candidate going into next year for next year's Heisman, but really, really, really played bad in this game. 3 picks in the game. I think 2 of them were pick sixes, so that really set this team back. They were down 28-0 at halftime. It's not much you can do when you're down 28-0 at halftime. And in the second half, both teams only scored 10 points. So Penn State dominating this one. Their defense stepped up in a big way, and they gave the ball to the 2 guys I thought were going to be the most important, and Nick Singleton and Katron Allen. Nick Singleton had 90 yards in the touchdown. Katron Allen had 70 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game. Everybody was expecting a big game from Tyler Warren. I was like, they're not going to need to give Tyler Warren the ball. They're going to run the ball with those 2 really good backs they got, and that's exactly what they did. Penn State dominated in this game from start to finish. What was your thoughts about this SMU Penn State game?
Yeah, I was really surprised. What surprised me was there seems to be a talent disparity in the programs. Now, SMU was clearly one of the best teams in the ACC this year.
For sure.
In their first year in the conference. And Penn State I thought they were kind of borderline fraud, as being one of the best Big Ten teams. So to see Penn State be so much bigger, stronger, faster than SMU, that really surprised me.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is anybody from the ACC? I know we're going to talk about Clemson next. Is anybody from the ACC gonna start complaining when they talk about the best 2 conferences in the nation by far are SEC and Big Ten? Because ACC's best, they didn't look very good.
No. And
another team that they could probably throw out there was Miami, and we saw them fail to play defense all year long.
All year long.
I mean, it was wild west shootouts every week.
It'd have been the same result. You put Miami
it would have been the exact same result.
in one of these spots.
You could have put Clemson against Penn State. You could have put Miami against Penn State. It would have been a boat race, just like it was.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, Penn State just dominated. You up 28-0 in a playoff game. This college playoff, so you're not going to see as much crazy comebacks and stuff like that. So and SMU really didn't have any confidence once Kevin Jennings couldn't get the ball down the field. that kind of killed all their confidence going forward into that game. So got to give big ups to Penn State in that one for taking care of business. I mean, you don't want to look forward to games, but they're looking forward past that game almost because they got a Boise State team. Now, I don't know how Penn State got this easy of a road to the Final Four here, if you want to call it easy, but SMU was clearly
easier.
SMU clearly the smallest team probably in this entire 12, and then they're playing the next smallest team in this entire 12 with Boise State is who they'll be playing.
But I'm gonna say this: I think Penn State is just like Notre Dame. I don't have them winning another game going forward.
Ooh, hey,
yeah.
When we're gonna talk about that more next week, folks. Going into that one, but I'm not too far off from this thinking. I'm not a big guy on Boise State or anything like that.
And the only reason why I'm saying that is because Boise State has the ability to do one thing, and they do this one thing better than probably anybody in the country: ball control.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they're gonna run that football.
They're gonna run that rock.
They're gonna run the football. Gency's not gonna get tired. Matter of fact, they don't give him a bye week. So
now he's gonna be fresh.
We're looking at about 40 touches probably from Gency.
That's like giving Derrick Henry a bye before you have to face him. Come on, he's already a 30 carry back.
You know what's gonna happen after that. And then he just coming off of what he feels like a slight, and not winning the Heisman as well, or winning one of the AP awards because I think Travis Hunter won.
That was surprising
that too.
Now the Heisman
obviously
was Hunter. But for Genty not to get any national recognition, that was really surprising.
I was shocked about that too. Yeah. I thought he would have cleaned up. Obviously, he wasn't a running back award, but I thought he would have cleaned up with a few awards. I thought he would have got AP Player of the Year.
Yeah,
a couple of those. I thought the Heisman was going to be reserved for Travis, but Travis cleaned up in almost every single award there.
He did. Yeah.
So, but he's going to have a chip on the shoulder going into that game. So I might be along the lines of thinking what you there said, and with that Penn State and Boise State prediction, because as good as Penn State played, they didn't do anything that just wowed me.
No.
They just didn't turn the ball over when they got it. And SMU kept turning the ball over.
I still believe they're fraud.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I still do too. And that a lot of those teams in the Big Ten turned out, as we just seen what happened with Indiana, turned out to be fraud as well, except for the two top teams, the one I thought were the two top teams in Ohio State and Oregon. So those are still some of the two top teams. Folks, we got to go into a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about Texas versus Clemson, and we'll talk about Tennessee and Ohio State as well, right before we jump over into some NFL talks as well here, folks. So stay tuned and stay locked in right here on Centex Primetime. We'll be right back after this short break.
Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans.
We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Hey guys, it's Rocky and Keisha, and at Prosperity Tax Service, we're all about convenience. We get it. Life is busy. Your time is valuable. That's why we've streamlined the entire process to be as hassle-free as possible.
No more sifting through piles of paperwork or spending hours at an office. With Prosperity Tax Service, you can handle your taxes from the comfort of your own home.
Your financial data is in safe hands with us through our secure and user-friendly customer portal at prosperitytax.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things tax-related. Log in anytime anytime, from anywhere, whether it's from your couch or on the go.
We are experienced tax professionals well-versed in handling a variety of tax situations. Receive genuine assistance and competitive pricing from real tax professionals who've seen it all.
We're marking 2 decades as a community-based enterprise here in Waco, Texas. So call us at 254-235-5662 or log on to www.prosperitytax.com. Thanks, guys.
Are you hungry for the best fried chicken in town? Check out Crispy Chicken No. 1, 11th and Clay, and their Monday and Tuesday special, the Snack Pack, which includes 2 pieces of chicken, fries, roll, and drink, all for only $6. Also, each Monday through Friday from 4 to 6, you can feed the family for $10 and receive 6 pieces of chicken, fries, and rolls. Crispy Chicken No. 1 features additional daily specials and also includes mouth-watering short ribs, fried catfish, and chicken fried steak. Locally owned and operated and a Waco tradition since 1975. That's Crispy Chicken No. 1 at 11th and Clay.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blasian Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blasian Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. This is live from the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports Studios.
That's right, sports fans.
About to show these boys how we do it. You ready?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis, your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Primetime here on this Christmas Eve, I guess you could say, a couple days away from Christmas here on Centex Primetime. Only show of the week this week. Want to thank you guys for tuning in with me today. Also want to thank you guys for your support, supporting us in the Vega football all year long. We just talked about them in the earlier part of hour number 1. Also just got done talking about some of these CFP playoff games, college football playoff games here. As SMU fell to Penn State, and we talked about Notre Dame beating up on Indiana as well. Want to talk about the other 2 games here in the college football playoff matchups, and one of them being a lot of you guys, your Texas Longhorns. No, we got plenty of Longhorn fans on here with us, and I had the Longhorns winning this one by, I think the spread was -12. I had them definitely getting this by 2 touchdowns in this game. Now, Clemson did make this close, and this is probably the most competitive game of the college football playoff matchups in this game between Clemson and Texas. And I think this is the only game of the weekend that had a lead change. I think every other game, everybody that came out the gate strong finished the game strong. And Clemson came out the gate strong, and this one scored right away. But after that, Texas took over in that one. And it was honestly because they did what they're supposed to have been doing all season long, and they ran the football. 292 rushing yards in this game. Quinn Ewers only had to throw 24 times, only 17 completion. That's Quinn Ewers' sweet spot, in my opinion. I'm not a fan of when Quinn Ewers got to come out here and throw the ball 40 times because he's going to make mistakes. We've seen him do it against Georgia. We've seen him do it against A&M.
Seen him do it all year long.
Seen him do it all year long. He's not that type of quarterback. In my opinion, that's going to be the one. I'm going to take you over the hump no matter who we come out here with. He's not that guy. If they hand the ball off, they've got a great chance to win, not just this game, but they got a great chance to win it all. And you gave it to your 2 backs, Jaden Blue, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns in this game, had that long 77-yard run. And then Trey Wisner, who's been the bell cow out of this Central Texas area. He's been the bell cow for Texas all year long. 15 carries, 110 yards, and 2 touchdowns in that game. Didn't need much out of the passing game. Gunnar Helm was the highest receiver, 77 yards and a touchdown in that one. On the Clemson side, Cade Klubnik played decent, 26-43, had 336 yards.
That was a
touchdowns.
homecoming for him.
It was a homecoming, a rematch of the state championship game, 6A game in 2020 or 2021, whichever one of those it was, when he beat Ewers. But this ain't Westlake, and that wasn't that wasn't Southlake out there. This is Texas and Clemson, 2 completely different things. And I picked Texas to win this one handily because I knew that Clemson wasn't going to be able to run the football. You can't run the football. You're going to put way too much pressure on Cade Klubnik to make plays, which he did make a lot of plays, but you weren't going to be able to make enough. Not against this Texas defense, who's got one of the best DB rooms in the nation and one of the best front sevens in the nation with Colin Simmons and Burke, his old high school teammate that he won the state championship with. Cade Klubnik won with, got a sack on him as well. And just too much Texas in this one. They win it 38-24. What was your thoughts watching that game?
Yeah, I was just hearing you say Texas might have the best DB room. I'm thinking they might have the best defense, period.
Yeah, it's true.
In the country. I'm not surprised that Texas won. I'm surprised by the way they won. 15 carries for Wisner. This is a guy, we saw him carry, close to 30 times against A&M, close to 30 times. Was it at the second Georgia game, I believe? So we know what he is. And it just seems like, and I've said this on the show before, I think Coach Sark just has a tendency to just kind of get too cute.
He does.
You got too much talent. You don't have to be cute. Just go out there, line up, and because your guys are better than their guys.
Yep.
So just line up and play straight football. But they got the W, so you can't argue with the results. I'm really concerned about Texas. This team is probably I would say top to bottom, the most talented roster in the CFP right now. But I just think that there's an element to Texas, and when I watch them play, it's like I'm just waiting for them to mess it up.
It is. I get exactly what you're feeling because you're seeing number 3 with the ball, and Quinn Ewers. That's why you think that. I mean, if you can't tell, I'm not a huge Quinn Ewers guy.
I'm going on record with you. I'm not a Quinn Ewers fan. We talked about this a little bit during the break. Quinn Ewers, I know that I've seen draft boards where he's top 3 quarterback, top 4, what have you, talking about him in the same sentences as Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward. He's not that guy. And this is my opinion. He's not that guy. In my opinion, he could be an NFL journeyman. He's a guy that he's Trent Green. He's Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, he can play in the league for 10 years, 5 different franchises. But I don't see anything in him because, like I say, he makes too many mistakes, and sometimes he just misses on throws that you think would just be a simple pitch and catch. But I don't know. He has accuracy issues.
He does.
Yeah.
He does. He does have accuracy issues. He's got an arm. He's got a live arm, so he can throw the ball down the field. But that, obviously, we've seen through the draft combine, that's not all that matters in having a live arm. You got to be able to read defenses. You got to be able to have poise. Even the only long throw I seen him make probably the whole game in that post route to Wingo that he threw. I mean, he waited so long to throw the ball. I'm like, bro, what are you waiting on? He's there. He got him. He's beat on the post route. Yeah. He waited. Ended up getting his receiver almost killed. Luckily, he held onto the ball, but he got hit by 2 or 3 guys because he waited too long.
And their receivers, they go up and fight for the football.
Yeah,
and sometimes because of the way Ewers throws the ball, they put themselves in harm's way.
Yeah.
Just trying to get to that ball because it should have been over here and you threw it over here, Exactly. I just have a problem with Quinn Ewers. I thought Arch Manning should have never lost a starting job, even when Ewers came back from injury. I know there's old saying you don't lose your job to injury, but
it's happened too much for that to be a saying. It's happened way too much. People lost their job to injury all the time, and I believe that's why we saw Quinn Ewers walk on senior night and all this stuff because he's only a junior. He can come back and play another year, but I'm pretty sure everyone in the Texas regime has said, hey, bro, you've done your time here. Arch is playing whether you come back or not next year.
And
Arch is going to be the quarterback.
I've seen some stories, and you know how you can't believe everything you read in the media nowadays, but there's talk of maybe he was going into the transfer portal.
That's what I think.
For the NFL. And that'd be the best thing for him.
He's not going to be in the first round like he's been wanting to these last few years because he could have came out last year. He could have came out into the draft last year, but he was like, I'm going to be in the 5th round, so let me come back. Now, here you are at the end of the season again. You're looking more like 2nd, 3rd round.
I would say, if I was a general manager, I'd put a 3rd round grade on high 3rd, maybe low 2nd, depending on what my team needs. But
not too much draft capital.
Definitely not a 1st round
grade. No. I would transfer. I wouldn't even be shocked to see him maybe go back to where he was at before he came to Texas. Maybe Ohio State gives him a call. Maybe one of these other teams that are just a quarterback away gives him a call. I think he can definitely be a game changer for somebody in college if you already got a built roster. Now, if he's got to go out there and win you every game, I'm not too sure about that one. But with a stacked team like Texas, you could be right there in the college football playoffs, possibly the Final Four. I got Texas getting to the Final Four, maybe even the championship game, depending on how these matchups shake out. They're going to have Arizona State next, and I got them favored in that game again to play Arizona State. So I expect to see them in that Final Four in the Cotton Bowls where they're going to
at that Arizona State game, Jalen, I'm nervous.
Yeah, I mean, I'm nervous. Should be. I like Cam Scatterbo. So,
and not just that, but their young quarterback.
Yes.
He's playing extremely well. I can't think of his name right now. What is his? He's playing extremely well. This is his first year at Arizona State, and because like I talked about this element that I'm waiting.
Levitt.
Levitt. There you go. Levitt.
Sam Levitt. Yeah.
Sam Levitt. Just because I still have this element that Texas is going to find a way to mess themselves off. This Arizona State team, if they get rolling, they're very formidable.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, for sure. They're in there for a reason. Arizona State had to earn their way into this. This wasn't we're a blue blood or somebody just wanted to see us in. They had to earn and scratch and claw their way into the college football playoff. This is a team that was ranked like 7th in the Big 12 about halfway through the season and won every single game after that, including the Big 12 championship game handily. And for them to earn their way into that. So I'll be excited to watch that game. Last game on the schedule for the first round was Ohio State and Tennessee. This is a game that I thought would be the most competitive out of these games, out of all of these games. And it ended up not being that. Ohio State, man, they had a fire lit under them. They came out like Ryan Day said, hey, I'm coaching for my job right here.
Because he really kind of is.
He is. That ain't even a joke. If he did tell it to him or didn't, that's not a joke at all to him. He is coaching for his job, regardless what Kirk Herbstreit and I forget the other guy's name said on the broadcast, and they were like, oh, guys like First Take were saying they were ready to fire Ryan Day. Now look at what he's done. Well, he can still get fired if they lose next round.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't say that. Now, you done lost to Michigan 4 years in a row. You have a very high chance of getting fired, and you just lost to Shamar Moore and the 7-5 Michigan Wolverines last time you lost. So he's not all the way out of it just yet. But this is a great start in how they came out and beat Tennessee handily. A lot of people said, oh, well, Alabama should have been in here because look how SMU lost and Ole Miss should have been in there. Look how some of these other teams lost. And then the SEC is so much better than you see an SEC team coming here like Tennessee, who's one of y'all's top teams, and get beat on by Ohio State in the first round of these playoffs. So teams are in here for a reason. Just because it was a blowout doesn't mean that, oh, we should have put Alabama in here or we should have put Ole Miss.
Yeah, and really and truly, I understand – Tennessee did enough to get that spot. They did. Mm-hmm. But really and truly, I would have rather seen an Ole Miss.
I said that from the beginning. I think Ole Miss would have been a better matchup. I think Ole Miss is just a better team, honestly.
Yeah, I think they're a better team
than Tennessee is.
But they didn't take advantage of the opportunities that were presented in front of them. So you have to give it to the guy who does that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll say all day long, Ole Miss better team than Tennessee.
For sure.
Tennessee has kind of a Jekyll and Hyde quality. Like when they show up, we here. But when they don't show up, I mean, you can't find them.
You cannot find them. And then all three of their losses are like that. All three of their losses are, this is not the same Tennessee team we just watched a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt when I watched this game against Ohio State. Ohio State came out and dominated. And Ohio State came out and showed you why they've reportedly spent $20 to $30 to $40 million on this team.
Is that?
This is a salary cap.
Yeah.
This is a salary cap that we're looking at, and that's why Ryan Day is on the hot seat like that, because there's donors, there's all type of people spending money.
We literally got you the best team that money can buy.
The best team. And I've said it all year long that I think Ohio State has the most talent in the nation. They just haven't been able to put it together. They literally have a 5-star at almost every single position. Yeah. Guys with draft capital, first, second round grades at almost every single position on the field, maybe outside of offensive line. And they're finally put it together in this game. Will Howard, 24 for 29, 311 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Now, I've been critical of Will Howard all year. I feel like he's played under par.
Well, he has, but he has the best wide receiver room in the country.
And I felt all you had to do was get these guys the ball. You got a lot of people said Jeremiah Smith, who's a freshman, could be a top 15 pick this year at 18 years old, and I believe it. Ryan Williams at Alabama was getting a lot of hype after he made a couple of those game-winning touchdowns at Alabama. And I've said all year, Jeremiah Smith
is better than Ryan Williams.
By far better than Ryan Williams. And Ryan Williams is nice. He's a really good player.
Nice, yeah.
But Jeremiah Smith looks like a grown man out there. You can't tell me looking at this guy, you think he's 18 years old out there playing against these guys.
And this is why Ryan Day should lose his job.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me you can't find a way to get this guy more targets?
Yeah. him, Mbuka, a guy that was a 1,000-yard
And
receiver for 2 years in a row.
Isn't Chip Kelly the offensive coordinator?
Chip Kelly is the offensive
I
coordinator.
hated Chip Kelly because he derailed the Eagles franchise.
He tried everything he could. I'd almost think that he didn't like the Eagles or something with how much he did against the Eagles in his time that he was there.
When he was in Philly, it was, and I'm not trying to turn everything.
No, you're good. You're good.
But it was like when Chip Kelly was in Philly, he was getting a salary to coach the team, but it's almost like somebody else was paying him double to sabotage the team.
he got rid of every good player. When he traded LaShawn McCoy for Kiko Alonso, I said, this guy's somebody's paying this dude or something to sabotage. You trade the best running back in your history, or one of the best running backs in your history, for Kiko Alonso, a middle linebacker that didn't start on the team he was on, was crazy.
And Jalen, I give you mad props for even remembering Kiko Alonso's name.
Never miss the hilarious Ricky Smiley.
Number one show in the city.
All right, Tuesday on the Ricky Smiley Morning Show, it's Paternity Test Tuesday. You don't want to miss it.
And you know I got the hot.
I was watching them all the time. My Texans was sorry then. We had Matt Schaub, so we didn't have nothing for me to watch there. So I tuned over.
Schaub.
Exactly. You talking about a quarterback ruining the franchise. I don't even want to get started on Matt Schaub. But yeah, I was watching a lot of Eagles games. He did everything he could, but he's underachieved, honestly, with this offense all year. This is an offense that should have been scoring 40 to 50 points every single game.
Yeah, and you're talking about, once again, in Ryan Day and Chip Kelly, you're talking about two coaches who have been head coaches of major programs with a $20 million roster in terms of talent, and this is the best they can do. It's just been very underwhelming to me.
It's very underwhelming. So I was glad to see that they were able to come out there against the Tennessee and do what they did against them, putting up 21 points in their first quarter.
But they had to, didn't they?
Yeah, they didn't have a choice. The back is against the wall because not only is Ryan Day coaching for his job, any of these dudes can go transfer and go to a top program and start. And with the way the transfer portal is now, not only do you get the disapproval of the fans, you'll get the disapproval of your players, and they'll get out of there. And they'll leave in a heartbeat. So we seen it with Florida State, who was just undefeated last year. And they had so many people jumping to the transfer portal over this last transfer portal. You see how quick it could turn on you. So Ohio State comes out there, handles business in this game. Travion Henderson, 10 carries, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. Quinshon Judkins, 2 touchdowns in this game. 2 guys that are projected to be 2 of the top running backs coming into this season. And I have no idea why they didn't get the ball like that. I don't know why these receivers didn't get the ball like that. It's been a very confusing offense all year long for them. Their defense played great, but their defense is, once again, full of first-round talent.
That's where you have all the 5 stars.
Yeah, Jack Sawyer, Caleb Downs, all of these guys are 5 stars. We're the top players at their position in their class, almost all at Ohio State right now. So excited to see them, and I got Ohio State on there for an upset alert against Oregon, man. I just haven't seen this Oregon team getting tested like that. I thought that when Ohio State and Oregon played again on a neutral field that maybe Ohio State could have got their lick back, but instead they decided to lose to Michigan, so they didn't even get the opportunity to do that in the Big Ten championship game. But I got this Oregon team on upset alert right now. They're playing on New Year's Day at 4 o'clock, and they're playing in the Rose Bowl, I believe, is where they'll be playing. So
Miss a lover, man, them call me Miss a lover. I'm going to tell you when them call me Miss a lover, man. It's when me love the girls, depending on Caroline.
Oregon, and I like Oregon for one reason. Well, 2 reasons. Number one, I don't trust Ohio State's coaching.
Exactly.
And number 2, Dylan Gabriel is really that guy.
He is.
He can put a team on his back and literally. You talked about not wanting to see Quinn Ewers throw the ball 30 times a game. You want to see Dylan Gabriel throw the ball 50 times a game.
For sure. Especially with the weapons they got out there with Tez Johnson and Evan Stewart at receiver, Jordan James at running back. I mean, this Oregon team, they're number 1 for a reason. They've been undefeated all season long for a reason. So that's going to be a really, really good matchup when they match up, like you said, traditional way in the Rose Bowl, Big Ten versus Pac-12 once again. So I'm excited to be able to see that game. And that was all the games for that first round. I want to go over a couple minutes while we got you left here. Talk about some NFL and talk about we always talk about your Eagles team, but I want to talk about you predicting this outcome before the game even started. Now, I don't think anyone predicted how it was going to happen and Jalen Hurts going down with an injury, but you picked this team to come out here and get an upset because they're playing at Washington. This team is desperate. And like you said, these divisional games, man, you just never know in these divisional games. And historically, like you brought up, Philadelphia doesn't always get up for the Washington Commanders or the football team or the Redskins, whichever one they've played over the years. Whoever they are, whichever one they've played over the years. So talk a little bit about that game, Washington coming out with a win 36-33 over the Eagles.
Now nobody could have predicted the clutch play of Jaden Daniels. Listen, Jaden Daniels we've known he's been special all year, but what he did yesterday, it even shocked me. I was like, wow, I knew he was good. This kid is really, really good.
He's great.
You couldn't predict the Hurts injury, but the Commanders are dangerous.
Yes, they are.
They really are. They've been dangerous all year because Jaden Daniels gives them a puncher's chance on offense. And then we talked about Scary Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
And he did what he does. So, yeah, I'm not surprised they lost. I predicted the loss. Didn't see him losing the way that they did because I'm watching the game and I'm like, oh, well, we might go ahead and be able to secure this thing. But here come that man, Mama. So, now the impact of that game. Now you have Atlanta, who has a tiebreaker against Tampa Bay because. Lo and behold, Cowboys won the game last night.
Yeah.
And they put Tampa Bay in a bad spot. Now Atlanta has to go into Washington. But, with the chance to be in the driver's seat and that NFC South division still up in the air, this is going to be a big game.
Huge game.
And my question is this too big a stage for Michael Penix, only his second NFL start? I saw commentators yesterday talking about, well, here's why you have to play Penix over Cousins because Penix has the ability to push the ball down the field. Didn't see a whole lot of that.
No, I did not.
Now, he didn't make a lot of mistakes. But I didn't see a whole lot of, You're
going to need more than not making mistakes in this game they're about to play.
You're going to have to find a way to push the ball down the field against Washington. And their defense is porous.
Yeah.
So there will be opportunities. I just don't know if Michael Penix is going to be able to recognize when those opportunities present themselves. Now, just to get back to the Eagles, once again, there's this big, they make this big story about you want to be the number one seed. You just want to get in the playoffs.
That's exactly.
If you don't get into the number one seed, and that means you got to go on the road and beat somebody. Well, if you got 13 wins, you've probably got a few of those on the road already.
Yeah, exactly.
So I really don't see that as being a huge.
And the two other top teams are both domes. I think everybody wants to play in a dome.
Everybody wants to play
January.
In January, absolutely. So it was like I said, not surprised by the outcome, but it just set things up going forward to where I was like, wow, this Atlanta-Washington game. After I saw how the Cowboys won last night, I'm like, wow, this Atlanta-Washington game is huge.
It's going to mean a lot, and I thought it was leading up to it, and that's why there was so much controversy with Mike Penix getting the start and all this stuff. But somebody's going to have to really sit him down and say, the Commanders are not the Giants. This is your first start. It was good that you get the chance to go out there and have success against a team like the Giants. You can try different stuff. You're at home. You can try a lot of different stuff. But there's going to be such a huge learning curve in these next 7 days between the Giants and the Commanders.
I had to write this down. Michael Penix Jr., 18 to 27, 202 yards, 1 interception. Now, the pick was a deflection off the hands of Kyle Pitts, and we know how disappointing he's been. I still can't believe that he's not.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. No way you couldn't have told me this guy was going to be another Shannon Sharp or something like that coming out of college.
Yeah.
But complete opposite.
But his QBR was 46.5. So there's definitely a lot of room for improvement, and we know there would be. He's a rookie. But after the Commanders, they play Carolina, who's probably been playing some of the best football out of everybody in the league in the last month or so with the renaissance, the rebirth of Bryce Young at quarterback.
Yeah, they've been playing really, really good football. None of those games are going to – it looks like some easy games, but I'm telling you, the only easy game you're going to get is the one you just played against the Giants.
Yeah.
They're the only team that I've seen, including the Raiders, the only team I've seen that's fully committed to tanking and getting the number one seed.
Speaking of the Raiders.
Come on, man.
I want to get your take on this, man.
That's terrible.
Why would you win a game this late in the season when there's nowhere for you to go and basically win your way out of a chance at Shadur Sanders?
And out of a chance of Cam Ward or any of the guys that you thought was a top 5, Travis Hunter, because they might not even have a top 5 pick at this point anymore because you're going to have the same record as Jacksonville, but you're going to have the tiebreaker over Jacksonville because you just beat them. The Giants are going to be in front of you. I mean, like, why would you do that? I have no idea why you would do that. I know that Mark Davis had to be so mad. He probably fired somebody. I don't even know who. He probably just picked somebody random to go around and fire today. Because there's no way y'all telling me that we had Shedeur Sanders right there. We're seeing the signs for Shedeur Sanders in Vegas. He's saying he likes Vegas as a city. All of this stuff. And it just be snatched away from you that quick. You know for a fact the Giants aren't winning another game. So you know the number one pick is gone. You would just have to hope that they somehow decide to take Travis Hunter or somebody, which we know they're not. They're going to pick Shedeur. Yeah. And now you're going to be right there with Tennessee, who was committed to lose, and I saw them getting stumped out by the Colts yesterday. You're going to be right there with Cleveland. You're going to be right there with New England. It's a lot of 3-12 teams.
Yeah, I'm not going to say Tennessee is committed to losing.
But they did try to come back.
Yeah, but Will Levis is just not ready.
For sure.
But Cleveland is definitely going to be looking for a quarterback.
Yeah. Cleveland is going to be looking for a quarterback.
Because
they showed me they're committed to losing because they took Winston out the starting lineup
when you
and put the other dude in.
DRT in there.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize he was still in the league.
Me either. I didn't know either until they say, yep, he's getting benched. I'm like, I know they ain't bringing Watson back.
Yeah,
they were like,
okay.
I was like, wow, okay.
So Cleveland's in the mix. Yeah, what the Raiders did yesterday, I was like
puzzling.
And listen, I know that you don't, Herman Edwards. You play to win the game. I get that, but you also have to have an eye on the future, and you will know that if this win is going to hurt me, then instead of me putting my aces out there and leaving them out there the whole time, well, let me just put some of these third string guys in here because I mean, they need to get some reps. That's how you spin it. Well, we're just trying to develop our depth.
Yep.
But what you're doing is tanking.
We're looking at the Giants and some of these other teams doing it.
They're doing it.
They're sticking the third and fourth string guys out there.
Doing it. Yeah, been doing it. I heard some guys being called out last night on the Cowboy broadcast. I'm like, who's that?
Yeah, exactly.
And I've seen 6 Cowboy games this year. Who was this dude? So it does happen. But, you have to do it a certain way.
Yeah.
You can't be obvious with it. Not like NBA teams are just obvious when they tank.
I think the Jazz are tanking already. We're 20 games into the season. I think they're already tanking. I think Philadelphia might be tanking right now, too. I mean, it's crazy.
Philadelphia's not tanking. They just suck.
They're really bad. They're just actually really, really bad, which is disappointing because they paid all that money to
bring in Paul George.
Man, to bring in all of those guys. And like you said, I don't know what the Raiders were thinking yesterday. It honestly kind of shocked me going forward. So looking at that Falcons and Commanders game next week, do you see Penix being able to get over that hump against the Commanders, will their defense be able to lead them out there against this Commanders? Because that's what you're going to have to stop. Somebody's going to have to stop Jaden Daniels, who just threw for 5 touchdowns yesterday.
The main reason that Atlanta won yesterday was the 2 pick sixes.
Yeah.
That definitely didn't hurt.
Exactly.
But I don't think Jaden Daniels is going to put the ball in harm's way like that. So Penix is going to have opportunities to push the football down the field. The only question that remains is he going to recognize when those opportunities present themselves? And if he can learn how to read that, with this doing this practice this week, they have a chance. They have a chance.
Yeah.
Because their defense is better. Atlanta's defense is better than Washington's defense.
Yeah, for sure. Atlanta's defense is better.
Yeah.
Just will Penix be able to read? He's playing against a smart defensive coordinator in Dan Quinn.
I'm about to say now, there's your monkey wrench.
Yeah, who will be relishing at the opportunity to play against a second-time starter now against Michael Penix, especially with something like this, all the games on the line. Because Falcons and Tampa Bay and Washington Commanders, they're all right there in these last 2 games. So they're all playing for playoff positioning.
Quote unquote, in the hunt.
Yeah, they're all in the hunt. So they'll all be playing for that.
And somebody's got to win the NFC South. It's gonna be a mediocre team, but somebody got to win it.
Similar to the NFC West. Somebody got to win those two divisions. Somebody, I don't know who, but somebody got to win it.
I think that's a disservice to the Rams because I think the Rams are
good.
Mediocre.
Yeah.
They just had to get over all those injuries.
Man, they had too many at the beginning. Way too many.
But they've been playing really well the last 5-6 games.
No, for sure. They definitely have. So some super interesting games going into these final 2 matchups, final 2 weeks of the regular season and also in the college football playoffs. Sid, I want to thank you for jumping on here, man. And
my pleasure.
For the first
for free installation.
First hour and rocking out here with us. Been happy birthday once again. Look forward to getting you back here on the show next week, man, so we can talk some more about some of these games and break down some of these college football playoff matchups that we have coming up for the next week. So, folks, we got to go to a break. When we come back, touch the top of the hour, we'll talk some more about some more of these NFL games. We'll talk about your Dallas Cowboys and them getting a win on Sunday Night Football. We'll do a couple quick takes as well, and we'll talk about this Monday night game coming up here tonight. So stay tuned and stay locked in right here on Centex Primetime. We'll be right back after this short break.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Hey guys, it's Rocky and Keisha, and at Prosperity Tax Service, we're all about convenience. We get it. Life is busy. Your time is valuable. That's why we've streamlined the entire process to be as hassle-free as possible.
No more sifting through piles of paperwork or spending hours at an office. With Prosperity Tax Service, you can handle your taxes from the comfort of your own home.
Your financial data is in safe hands with us through our secure and user-friendly customer portal at prosperitytax.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things tax-related. Log in anytime, from anywhere, whether it's from your couch or on the go.
We are experienced tax professionals, well-versed in handling a variety of tax situations. Receive genuine assistance and competitive pricing from real tax professionals who've seen it all.
We're marking 2 decades as a community-based enterprise here in Waco, Texas. So call us at 254-235-5662 or log on to www.prosperitytax.com. Thanks, guys.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
Holy Jesus. What is that?
It's time to get in the game.
Do you know what time it is?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis. Your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Start it up, let's go.
Catch us Monday through Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time, hour number 2 here on the show. I want to say Merry Christmas to everybody out there. A couple days away from Christmas. Know a lot of you guys are out doing your last-minute Christmas shopping. I definitely was doing some as well today, so I get it. I understand it. Tomorrow, I'm sure the stores will be even more packed on Christmas Eve. Want to thank you guys for taking the time out on these holidays to listen to me here today, talk about some sports. Just wrapped up in hour number 1 with said Eaglehart as we talked about La Vega Pirate football as they made it all the way to the state game. We talked about college football playoff matchups and got a chance to talk a little bit about Philadelphia Eagles as well. Want to wish Said a happy birthday. Thank you for jumping on here today on his birthday. Want to thank all of you guys once again for watching, whether that is on YouTube, Centex Sports Network / Centex Sports TV on YouTube, whether that is on Facebook, Centex Sports Network, or if you're listening on Infinity Sports Radio Central Texas with us through the app Centex Sports One that you can download on your mobile device, or if you're in your cars listening on Centex Magic 94.5. I want to thank you guys for jumping in and tuning in with me today as we go through some more of these games from last weekend. A great sports weekend it was last weekend as we got a chance to watch first round of the college football playoffs. Got a chance to watch some really good NFL games and the Alderley State Championship games. Like I shouted out earlier, shout out to the North Crowley Panthers, man, and going out there and getting a dub. A team that nobody had coming into the season as one of those top teams to beat in the season. And they came out there and they earned every win that they got. One of the best and most historic playoff runs, in my opinion, beating the teams that they beat just from their regular season all the way through the playoffs. Played some really, really good teams, a lot of top DFW teams. And they went undefeated, 16-0. Now the Gibson kid at receiver is headed off to Colorado to go play with Coach Prime out there, so I'll be keeping up with him and seeing how he did. Got a couple quick takes, folks, to talk about here before we jump back into some NFL and start breaking down some more of these games and what happened. Got a chance to watch USC versus UConn women's basketball. Now, for those of you that are new to the show here, I am a fan of women's college basketball. I think that it is actually a more polished product and a better product to watch than NCAA men's college basketball. And that's mainly just because they make the girls stay for 4 years. I mean, however you want to put it and say who's better here or the guys I like watching them better. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer to that. Just from my opinion, if I'm watching college basketball, I definitely enjoy watching women's college basketball more than I do the men's college basketball, because a lot of those guys are one and done. So all those top players you want to watch, they leave and they go to the league, which is nothing wrong with that. But I still just enjoy watching the girls one. And they had a huge game last weekend as well. Like I said, just a full weekend of sports this past weekend. And one of those games was USC versus UConn. Number 7 USC taking on number 4 UConn. Juju Watkins versus Paige Beckers, or Paige Buckets, however you like to call it. This was a very, very entertaining game. USC came out with a win, 72-70. To see these two guards match up against each other, and Juju Watkins and Paige Beckers, was a great watch. A great watch. One of the better basketball games I've probably watched this season, especially if you're talking about just one-on-one talent playing each other, because not only did both of them come out here and have a good game, Juju Watkins, 25 points, 3 blocks, 5 assists and 6 rebounds in the game. Paige Beckers, 22 points, a couple assists, 3 rebounds to go along with a steal as well. They were playing great on both sides of the ball. These two guarded each other for the majority of the game, especially in the fourth quarter. See, I like seeing stuff like that. We don't, a lot of guys run from those matchups, so if they're the two best players, or I'm just going to try to get a bucket on this side and you go on that side and try to get a bucket. No, these two played against each other, matched up against each other the whole time pretty much, or at least majority of the time that I was watching. Juju Watkins is probably the best guard in women's hoop that I've seen since Maya Moore. Now, I know a lot of you will say, what Caitlin Clark's just been doing. And I agree. I'm still a fan of Caitlin Clark. She gets a lot of hate. I'm a fan of hers, of Caitlin Clark. But she's not Juju Watkins. Nah. I seen First Take earlier. They said we got to start talking about Juju like how we talked about Caitlin Clark last year. Nah, we need to talk about her more. She's better than Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is a great player, but she's not physically imposing. Juju Watkins is physically imposing, and she's a great player. She can shoot the ball. She can handle the ball, and she can defend. She's a great defender. Paige got a couple buckets on her, and that was I liked it because every time she did, she would stare her down, and let me know that these two players want it, and they want that matchup against each other. They want that smoke when it comes to them being on the court with each other. But there were some moments in there where Juju had her in handcuffs. She couldn't get a shot off. She couldn't dribble the ball. A lot of the times, Juju on the other end was getting double and triple team, and she scored through a lot of those doubles, through a lot of those double teams still. But Paige, they were playing her one-on-one straight up. We're just gonna stick Juju on you, and Juju was getting a stop. Paige had 22 points, but she had 22 shots. Man, I'm telling you, Juju Watkins is special. Best guard I've seen play in college basketball from a women's perspective since Maya Moore, in my opinion. And for those of you that are women's college hoop fans, you understand how big of a compliment that is. Because Maya Moore was the top of the top when it comes to guard play in college basketball of all time. And that's how I see Juju, who's only a sophomore. It's only her second year in college basketball. And she's playing like this, very polished on the offensive end. Footwork, handles, jump shot, looks very polished. Went 9 for 16 in that game, 25 points. Not overshooting, not just chunking threes. She's getting good shots, knows how to get to her spots on the court. It's the reason why she's my favorite player to watch in college hoops, for men or women's. Juju is definitely my favorite player to be able to watch. So that was a really fun matchup to see those two go against each other, one that I was looking forward to watching over the last couple of weeks and just looking forward in the schedule. Talking about a little bit of NBA. There's been a lot of good NBA games going on. Victor Wembanyama. Now everybody knows him. Wemby, the alien, whatever you call him. He's been playing some really good basketball as of late. And the Spurs have actually been playing some really good basketball as of late. And that's because of him. That's because of Wembanyama. Out of 15 and 13, which isn't a crazy good record, but they were at the bottom of the West when the season started. They were at the bottom of the West last year for the whole year. Seeing that growth, he's taking that next step. And last week, he got the milestone of becoming the fastest, I believe, to 300 or to 200 three-pointers made. Got to 200 three-pointers faster than Steph Curry. And at this point in his career, same amount of games as Shaq. He's got more blocks than Shaq had. That's a crazy stat to even say. To think that there's somebody that can have more blocks at this point in their career than Shaq, and at this point in their career have more threes than Steph Curry is pretty wild to say, but that's the type of player that Wembanyama is. It's the reason why he's one of the most highly touted prospects to ever come into the draft for a reason. He came out there and he's been dominating, honestly, through his first two seasons. His team just hasn't been good, but now that his team is starting to pick up, shout out to Stephon Castle, too, that's on their team. He's a really good guard, starting to play some good basketball for them. Came out of UConn, won a couple of national championships with UConn. But that Spurs team starting to hit a stride. I'll be looking forward to seeing some more of their games. We just talked about in hour number one, the Giants securing the number one pick now that the Raiders decided to win. No idea why the Raiders would decide to go out there and win. I get it. If you're the players, you're not thinking about that. You're thinking about going out there and winning. If you're Antonio Pierce, they might fire you. So you're thinking about going out there and winning. So I get it from both of their sides for sure. There's no shock value on my side for why they wanted to go out there and win. It's just the fact that it actually happened, and you've now moved yourself 6 or 7 spots back from being the potential number one pick to being around 5, 6, or 7 at the end of this year. It's a huge difference between drafting Shedeur Sanders and then having to draft whoever they decide to pick at 7. Because you need a quarterback, but you're probably not going to be willing to take a quarterback that's left. Cam Ward's going to be off the board by that time. Shedeur Sanders is probably going number 1. Travis Hunter's probably going number 2 or 3. Not saying there's not other good players, a lot of really good players, but you needed a quarterback coming into the draft in 2025, and you really just hurt your chances a lot by doing that. But I get it. You want to go out there and win those games. If you're the Raiders, you're not just trying to go out there and just lose just because you decide, or just because going out there. Michael Penix, talked about him a little bit. Hour number one, got a win in his debut. Now Michael Penix is a guy that I had above Drake May. They got drafted number 3. It's a guy that I thought was one of the better quarterbacks coming out of last year's draft. He just happened to get drafted to a team where they had a quarterback, and they paid a quarterback $100 million. Why they would pay a quarterback $100 million, I have no idea. But they did. They gave Kirk Cousins, who's coming off an Achilles tear, who's 35 years old, $100 million guaranteed, $180 total for his contract. But he's been playing so bad, they still said, let's move Michael Penix into this spot. Gets a win over the Giants, which isn't any type of shock. It's the Giants. I think it might be some of those state teams out there that could beat the Giants with how terrible they've played this year. But the Giants, he gets a win over them. Now he's got to take on a Commanders team that's hot, that just beat the Eagles, who was one of the hottest teams in the league coming into that moment. And you got to play those guys. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Michael Penix as a starter this late into the season. Obviously, he can't do too much worse than how Kirk Cousins was playing, because Kirk Cousins was playing terrible. 5 games, you throw 1 touchdown and 9 picks. That's terrible. So I understand him getting benched. But with how much is on the line for the Falcons, it's almost kind of surprising to see him thrown into that spot this late into the season. But now they're in it. He gets a win over the Giants. Now you got to get a win over the Commanders and able to ensure yourself a playoff spot. You need to win over this Commanders team. So I'm excited to see that game next week as they're going to be taking on the Commanders. Folks, I want to go over to your Dallas Cowboys here on Centex Magic 94.5. We are flagship station for the Dallas Cowboys games here in the Central Texas area. So, of course, always got to talk about the Cowboys. And then I know probably 90-something% of y'all listening on here right now are Cowboys fans. It's all right. It's all right. I know. And earlier in the season, you probably didn't want to poke your chest out and say that. But now that they're 7-8, I'm starting to see some more and more of these Cowboys fans creep out the woodworks. They're popping back up with their jerseys, with their CD jerseys. I've seen some Dak jerseys this weekend. I've seen a little bit of everything, especially now that the Cowboys got a win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who had been playing really good football up to that point. I didn't think Tampa Bay would win, or I didn't think that Dallas would win this game, but I knew they had a good chance to win it. And playing at home the way that they've played, Mike McCarthy has honestly probably coached himself back into his spot with the Cowboys. Now, that might make some of y'all mad, but it's just the truth. Jerry Jones does not like switching up his head coaches like that. We saw Jason Garrett go 8-8 for all those years and still stayed the coach when he didn't do anything but clap. He didn't call the defensive plays. He didn't call offensive plays. He just clapped on the sideline. I don't even think he gave the team speeches. I don't know what he did. And he kept his job for all those years. So Mike McCarthy has a good chance of coming back as the head coach next year. Now, that's a different tune than what we were singing probably 4 or 5 weeks ago. I thought Mike McCarthy was done. But that proved to not be true. Now the Cowboys are 7-8. The end of 4-game winning streak that Tampa Bay was on. Tampa Bay had earned themselves back into first place in the NFC South, leapfrogged Atlanta, and looked like they were going to be on their way to the playoffs. Dallas Cowboys came out there and stopped all of that. 26-24 win for the Dallas Cowboys over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that game. Cooper Rush, 26 for 35, probably one of his better games I've seen Cooper Rush play. 26 for 35, 292 yards and a touchdown. Didn't get much running production at all, and that's why I said this is one of the better games I've seen out of Cooper Rush. Didn't get much production at all from the running game. Zeke got a touchdown on his 1 carry for 1 yard and 1 touchdown. I ain't even going to talk about Zeke because I don't want to – Cowboys got to win, so I don't want to start getting on to Zeke and how terrible he is. But he did get a touchdown. Rico Dowdle, who's been playing great the last few weeks, held to 23 yards on 13 carries in that game. CeeDee Lamb, who I said last week has been the most consistent player for the Cowboys all year long. He got paid in the offseason, and he's gone out here and showed this season why he's got paid. See, a lot of guys in the league get paid and then decide they want to start taking off, or they start showing their real selves, or they don't have that same type of hunger. CD is showing that is not him. And there's some players on this team that I do feel like that I do feel are like that. I'm not going to say their names, Trayvon Diggs, but some people get paid and decide, hey, we'll just coast it out from here. CeeDee Lamb is not one of those guys. Whether it's Dak a quarterback, Cooper Rush a quarterback, Trey Lance a quarterback, doesn't matter. CeeDee Lamb, 7 catches, 105 yards in this game. Tolbert got the only passing touchdown from Cooper Rush in this game. But CeeDee Lamb been playing great all year long. Comes out there again. This Dallas defense, probably the most criticized unit in the league through the first 5 or 6, 7 weeks of the season. Everybody talked about him, myself included, but every person that talks sports talked about how horrible this Dallas defense is, however you view them. But over these last few weeks, they've stepped up and played. I've had a lot to say about Micah Parsons and all the comments that he said. He's had a lot to say. He stepped up. He stepped up for this team. He said, hey, we're about to go on a run. And it hasn't been a crazy run, but they've been on a run. You've won 4 out of your last 5 games. That's a run for a team that before that had only won 3 out of 8 games. They were 3-6, so 3 out of 9 games. Since then, they've won 4 out of the last 5. And a lot of that is credited to the defense. DeRon Bland, who's come off of IR and has only played a few games this season, he had a good game yesterday. We saw the strip where he got the fumble recovery out there to end the game pretty much. Michael Parsons got a sack yesterday. Donovan Wilson came back in there and made some plays. Linval Joseph is 100 years old, and he went out there and made some plays. Chauncey Golston got a sack in that game. So some of these guys, they stepped up, and they're stepping up for their team, man. They know we're not going to get a top pick. We might as well go out here and win games. It's not going to do us any good to come out here and lose some games. And like I said, Mike McCarthy, Big Mike, is coaching for his job. And right now, the way he's been coaching the last 4 or 5 weeks since Michael Parsons said that he hadn't done anything and that Zach Martin's done way more than Mike McCarthy could ever do. Since then, this Cowboys team has been winning games. They've won 4 out of the last 5. Could have won that game to the Bengals. Could have been 5 in a row. And I know I can already hear it. I can already hear it going into next season. And we won 8 games without Dak. Imagine what we would have did with Dak. As happy as you guys should be that you won 4 out of your last 5, I think they would have the exact same record if Dak was playing. I'm trying to think which one of those teams they would have beat. The way that they were playing, who they would have beat that they lost to. The Bengals? I don't think so. But even with that, okay, maybe one more game. Because Dak lost. Dak was there for majority of those losses. At this point, Cooper Rush is going to have more wins than Dak did. So for all the people that are saying, oh, well, if we would have had Dak, we would have did this, and we would. Let's just pump the brakes now. Enjoy the fact that you're 7-8. That's cool. You're not gonna make the playoffs. If you do make the playoffs, you're gonna lose by 30, which is okay. You don't have to be good every single year. You just had 3 straight seasons of 12-5. It's all right. This year is a down year. Retool. Get ready for next year. Hopefully Jerry Jones makes some more moves in the offseason than what he has in previous years. But they're going to be in good shape going into next year. You get Bland back healthy. I think they need to trade Trayvon Diggs, but that's just my opinion. They might bring him back. He's not terrible. He ain't great. I would trade him. No need to pay him. You're stuck with Dak. Everybody else on the team that's making money, that's got paid already, that ain't getting production, you got to go because you got to pay Micah. If DeRon Bland continues to play good, you're going to play DeRon Bland. He was just first team All-Pro last year. So those guys that are getting paid and aren't performing, they got to go. They got to go. Don't know how many more years you get left for Zach Martin. So they got a lot of holes they need to fill. They're going to have to fill some offensive line holes. They're going to have to fill some front 7 holes. Obviously, they need a running back. Rico Dowdle played good those 3 weeks there, but he shouldn't be the number 1 back going into next year. It's a problem if he is. On the other side for Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield, 303 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Didn't play that great, which I was happy he didn't play that great because I was playing him in my fantasy team, and it's the playoffs for all of our fantasy owners that are listening. Y'all know this is a crucial time. In my league, it's the game before the final, and I needed Baker Mayfield to play bad. And I ended up winning that game because he played not as great. He didn't play bad, but because he didn't play as great. He threw a pick, had some fumbles in that game as well. Bucky Irvin, 68 yards, 1 touchdown. Baker Mayfield also ran for 42 yards in that game too. The Cowboys did a good job of not letting Mike Evans go crazy on him because he's really been playing great the last few games, especially last week. Him and Baker Mayfield's connection looks like it's great. McMillan, 57 yards and a touchdown. Rashad White is one of the best receiving backs in the league, 50 yards catching. Just wasn't enough. They couldn't get past the turnovers, and the Cowboys capitalized. When they needed to, they did. They still got the best kicker in the league, Brandon Aubrey, 4 for 4. Hit a 58-yarder in that game too. So, I mean, they're just getting in good enough position. Only had 2 offensive touchdowns, the Cowboys. Cooper Rush threw for 1. Zeke ran that 1-yard touchdown in. The rest were field goals. But sometimes that's enough to win. And the defense did enough for them to be able to win, even with their offense not just playing amazing. They found a way to get in field goal position, and they were able to capitalize once they got into field goal position. So shout out to the Cowboys, man. They won 4 out of the last 5 games. It's a team that we've talked about on this show all year long. At one point, I wasn't sure if they were going to win 5 games the way they were playing. But they've stepped up. They've made adjustments. Micah Parsons, who was the best player on the team, stepped up and started playing like the best player on the team. That has a lot to do with it. And Cowboys moved to 7-8 after they get a win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Folks, we're going to take one last break. When we come back, we'll be in the home stretch of the show. We'll break down some more of these games over last weekend here on Centex Primetime. Stay tuned. Stay locked in right here on Centex Primetime. We'll be right back after this short break.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Hey guys, it's Rocky and Keisha, and at Prosperity Tax Service, we're all about convenience. We get it. Life is busy. Your time is valuable. That's why we've streamlined the entire process to be as hassle-free as possible.
No more sifting through piles of paperwork or spending hours at an office. With Prosperity Tax Service, you can handle your taxes from the comfort of your own home.
Your financial data is in safe hands with us through our secure and user-friendly customer portal at prosperitytax.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things tax-related. Log in anytime, from anywhere, whether it's from your couch or on the go.
We are experienced tax professionals, well-versed in handling a variety of tax situations. Receive genuine assistance and competitive pricing from real tax professionals who've seen it all.
We're marking 2 decades as a community-based enterprise here in Waco, Texas. So call us at 254-235-5662 or log on to www.prosperitytax.com. Thanks, guys.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
It's the family feels for me. The banana pudding peach cobbler make you want to holler for me. It's the candy yams, mac and cheese, beef tips, pork tips and rice, collard greens. It's the sweet potato pie, sweetie. Fried chicken you've been missing, the lemon sweet tea dressing on Sundays when you all dressed up. Chest pie, buttermilk, and pound cake. Cornbread with butter just dripping, always fresh baked. If you need Southern style, soul food, home cooked meals that you can feel. Chicken and dumplings, chicken pot pie. 719 South 11th Street. Sassy's, come on by.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blazing Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blazing Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
Are you hungry for the best fried chicken in town? Check out Crispy Chicken No. 1, 11th and Clay, and their Monday and Tuesday special, the Snack Pack, which includes 2 pieces of chicken, fries, roll, and drink, all for only $6. Also, each Monday through Friday from 4 to 6, you can feed the family for $10 and receive 6 pieces of chicken, fries, and rolls. Crispy Chicken No. 1 features additional daily specials and also includes mouth-watering short ribs, fried catfish, and chicken fried steak. Locally owned and operated and a Waco tradition since 1975. That's Crispy Chicken No. 1 at 11th and Clay.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports. Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. This is live from the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports Studios.
That's right, sports fans.
About to show these boys how we do it. You ready?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis, your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time, home stretch here of the show. I'm your host, Jalen Gillis, as we've had a lot of fun up here today, talking some sports, and just this past weekend, getting an opportunity to call the state game, state championship game for La Vega Pirates on my birthday, as a matter of fact. Got a chance to do that, and that was a really great, really dope experience I got to do there. I want to thank all you guys for listening in. Not only today, but last week as well, in that state championship game. La Vega came up just a little bit short against that Carthage team. As always, make sure you guys hitting that subscribe button on YouTube, Centex Sports TV /Centex Sports Network. Click the bell, too, so you can get notified whenever we go live here. If you want to see some more clips of the stuff we talk about here on the show, you can follow me on Instagram, at Jalen Gillis. You'll be able to see all of the clips we put up from the show on there, and you can follow at Centex Primetime. Follow the show's Instagram as well as we post clips onto there. Well, home stretch of the show here today, folks. Like I said, only show we'll be doing this week is it is the holidays, and everybody will be traveling and moving around for the holidays. So I definitely get that. Want to wish everybody happy holidays once again. A couple days away from Christmas here. Some of you guys still out doing your last minute shopping. It's all right. I was doing the same earlier before the show, so want to thank you guys for taking some time out, tuning in with us here today. Just got done talking about, before break, your Dallas Cowboys and getting a win. Another win, 4 out of 5 games, getting a win over the Tampa Bay Bucks, who have really been playing some good football as of late, but unable to get the win over the Cowboys. Cooper Rush, for all you Cooper Rush fans out there, he's going to end up with more wins than Dak had this year, and close to the same amount of games. Cooper Rush will probably play a few more games than Dak, but close to the same amount of games. It's going to be more wins for Cooper Rush on his side. So I know it's going to make some of Cooper Rush fans happy, as we got some people that prefer to see Cooper Rush out there over Dak. Sometimes it even sounds like Jerry Jones prefers that, as he's always saying he's a great quarterback. He's an amazing quarterback. He played great. He did this and he did that. I'm like, okay, Jerry, we get it, bro. We get it. You're trying to pump up your backup quarterback, but still, obviously, Dak is the main guy. I think that's pretty obvious. I want to talk about a team that has fought their way into the playoffs, and that is the Los Angeles Rams. Matt Stafford and the Rams come out with another win, 9-6 record now, as they're looking like they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs, especially with the way that their offense is playing. Right now, in first place of the NFC West after that win, they moved to 9-6 on the year. 1-game lead over the Seahawks, who are 8-7. Cardinals have been eliminated from the playoffs. San Francisco has been eliminated from the playoffs as well. But the Los Angeles Rams, they get a win over the Jets, who are just terrible. I mean, I I don't know how much more bad they could have been this year, considering all the people they had. Considering they got Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, who I'm mad didn't get the ball that much because I needed him on my fantasy team, score some more points. But we still came out with the dub, so it's all right. Garrett Wilson, Braylon Allen out there on the defensive side. They got Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed and Javon Kinlaw, Will McDonald. I mean, we're talking about some really talented guys. Hassan Reddick, who was in a holdout all year long pretty much. And they're 4-11. I don't know if they're going to win another game. Probably got to be one of the most disappointing seasons I've seen out of a roster that spent that much money. I mean, they've made trades. They go and get Adams. They trade for Hassan Reddick. They're trading for people as if they're going to be a top team in the NFL. And they're going to be picking in the top 10 in the draft. So the Jets, major disappointment. But the Rams, still showing that they're a good team. Matt Stafford always gets a lot of love from me. Still think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Didn't have to do that much yesterday because they're playing the Jets. 14-19, 110 yards and a touchdown and a pick. Kyron Williams, who's sneakily one of the best backs in the league, 23 carries, 122 yards and a touchdown. Like I said, when they got Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, who last week we talked about our top wide receiver duos in the league, and I had them as my number one. When those two dudes are healthy, this team is hard to beat. I don't care who you are. The Rams are going to be tough to beat. We just seen them put up 40-something on the Bills. They beat the Bills 44-42. So we know what this team is capable of doing on the offensive end when all those guys are healthy. In their last two games, they got the Cardinals, who are eliminated, so we don't know who we even see out there. And they got the Seahawks as the very last game of the season, who they'll be playing to pretty much get into the playoffs if the Seahawks are able to win out in their games as well. But yesterday, Rams come out with the win. Great to see Matt Stafford. Sean McVay, who's a really good coach, proving that he's still a really good coach, goes out there and gets a win. I want to talk about some of those games from Saturday. I'll start with my Houston Texans, as we fell short to the back-to-back Super Bowl champs, Kansas City Chiefs, who are now 14-1. 14-1 on the season, which is crazy. We talked about this team all year long and how they played bad at times and how they weren't able to score and how they weren't able to do this and do that. They're 14-1. They got the best record in the league. They're probably going to be the number one overall seed since Patrick Mahomes. I don't know how he got a high ankle sprain, came out in a short week and played the way that he played because he looked great out there. 28 for 41, 260 yards and a touchdown as the Chiefs beat the Texans 27-19. Some of y'all saw the play where Tank Dell tore his knee up on that play, and that's just kind of been our season at the receiver spot for the Texans because Dell was having a really good game. 6 catches, 98 yards, and a touchdown. But tore his knee up. He's going to be out for the season. C.J. Stroud had his moments where he played good, but also threw 2 picks in this game. One of them was a deflection, but one of them was just a bad throw. You can't make that kind of play. And to go back to the Chiefs, Mahomes is Mahomes. You give him an opportunity to go out there and win, that's just what he's going to do. Playing on a bad ankle, bad offensive line, playing against one of the better defensive lines in the league, he goes out there and makes it look easy still. Kareem Hunt, 55 carries and a touchdown. Pacheco starting to get back into the lineup a little bit as he's been out with injuries. Xavier Worthy starting to come along more and more. Then we've seen Hollywood Brown has come back, and they still got D-Hop and Travis Kelce. So now I'm like, okay, all year long, for those of you that haven't been listening with me all year, I said at the beginning of the season, and I'm still standing on it, that the Chiefs are not going to three-peat. They're going to lose a game somewhere in the playoffs. I don't know where. I don't know to who. It might even be in the Super Bowl. I just don't have them three-peating this year. That pick is looking more and more scary as we get closer and closer to January. Because now, as bad as they've played at times, they're still 14-1, and now they're getting healthy outside of Mahomes. Mahomes is not going to get healthy, even though his ankle seemed to be okay. I don't know what he took. I don't know what shot he took. I don't know if he went and seen some of them LeBron doctors or whatever. But he looked good out there on Saturday. Now Xavier Worthy starting to play good, who's got the fastest 40 time in NFL history. They get Hollywood Brown back, who's one of the fastest players in the league. D-Hop been out there. Travis Kelce's been out there with him. I mean, Kansas City's going to be a hard team to beat. That's all I can say. My pick I still believe in my pick that they're not going to win and they're not going to three-peat. But, boy, is that going to be tough for anybody to beat them, whether that's the Ravens, whether that's the Bills, whoever in the AFC, or even whether that's the Eagles or the Lions, whoever we see in the Super Bowl. I don't know who's going to beat them. I just don't have them three-peating. And right now my pick not looking so good of them not going out there and three-peating. But the Chiefs come out with another win. The Texans, we're going to the playoffs. But if we don't find a way to get healthy, we're going home in the first round. I'm going to be honest. I'm not one of those delusional fans. If we don't get healthy and find something we can go to and learn how to block, we're going home in the first round. No matter who we play. We'll be home in the first round if we can't block anybody. If we can't get healthy receivers. Stephon Diggs towards ACL. Tank Dell towards knee up, out for the season. If we can't find a way to get healthy, get some production out of these receivers, get some production out of this offensive line, it'll be a first-round exit for the Houston Texans, unfortunately, who play on Christmas against the Baltimore Ravens, which is the next team I want to talk about, as the Ravens get a win over the Pittsburgh Steelers, 34-17. Lamar finally gets over the hump and beats the Pittsburgh Steelers. Lost his last 7 games to Pittsburgh, but they finally get over that hump and get a win over Pittsburgh. Now, Pittsburgh is one of those teams that's been playing good all year long, 10-5. Russell Wilson came in, started wowing everybody and said, man, this offense is way better. I had the Pittsburgh Steelers being pretenders. I had them listed as pretenders, as I think they're one of those teams that are going to get into the playoffs and they're going to lose again. Maybe in the first round. I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers have won a playoff game since 2016. It's almost a decade ago. I don't know if they're going to win a game in the playoffs this year. I think their defense is good. I think their offense is okay. But as good as Russell Wilson's played at moments, I think he's still got some things to him that can lead to the demise of the Pittsburgh Steelers, like the interceptions, like him just running around like he's Lamar Jackson and runs right into a dude. How you get lit up and popped by a corner? He got popped by a corner and fumbled, flatlined by a corner and gave the ball up. So I don't have the Steelers being one of those teams when it comes to doing something in the playoffs. Ravens right there for being able to take the lead in the AFC North. Tied record with Pittsburgh. They split games. So from this point, it's just going to be if both teams can win out, I think Pittsburgh will get the nod. They'll get the tiebreaker. But I like the Ravens being able to get this because I don't know if Pittsburgh's going to win out. Pittsburgh's lost 2 games in a row. Now, albeit that is to the Eagles and the Ravens are 2 of the better teams. But they got Kansas City on Christmas. I think they're going to lose that game. Then they got Cincinnati for the last game of the season. I think they're going to lose that game because they can't guard Joe Burrow. They can't guard Jamar Chase. They can't stop T. Higgins. So I think the Ravens are going to end up winning this division. I think the Steelers are going to get into the playoffs, but it might be as a bottom wild card seed because I don't have them winning another game this season. I think they're going to end the season on a 4-game losing streak after starting as good as they did so far. And as the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, MVP candidate Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP candidate or 2-time MVP winner Lamar Jackson, who might be on his way to winning his 3rd. I think they're going to give it to Josh Allen because of voters fatigue. They're going to end up giving it to Josh Allen. But Lamar Jackson's played like an MVP all year long. Did it again against Pittsburgh last week. 15 for 23, 3 touchdowns, 207 yards, 1 pick. Derrick Henry, obviously a huge reason of them winning that game. Derrick Henry, 24 carries, 162 yards. And it's almost like, I say this every time that the Ravens win and Derrick Henry has a good game, it's almost like if you give Derrick Henry the ball, you're going to win games. I don't understand how the Ravens get away from that run game in some of these losses, and Derrick Henry will have 13 carries, 16 carries, 18 carries. This dude got to touch the ball at least minimum 25 times. Minimum. We're at the end of the season now, last few games. Supposed to go into the playoffs with momentum. That's what they're doing. They give Derrick Henry the ball. He delivers. Zay Flowers, 5 catches, 100 yards. Lamar still spreading the ball around. Mark Andrews got a touchdown. Likely got a touchdown. Rashad Bateman got a touchdown. The defense has been playing better. Another group that was highly criticized at the beginning of the year, deservingly so. But the defense is playing better. Kyle Van Noy, one of the top leaders in sacks, even though their Achilles heel has been they haven't been able to get a pass rush almost all year long. But Kyle Van Noy has been doing that for them. Another game where he goes out there and gets a couple of sacks. I think he's top 10 in sacks this year. So he's been playing good. And whenever he's healthy, he definitely brings a lot to the table for the Ravens. The secondary has been playing better, led by Marlon Humphrey, who we saw get that pick and took it all the way back to the house. Pick 6. So the defense playing better. Lamar Jackson still playing at an MVP level. I like the Ravens moving forward. I think the Ravens can beat anybody in the AFC. I think they can beat the Bills, which they've already done this year. I think they can beat the Chiefs, which they were a toenail away from doing this year. I think they can beat any of these top teams in the AFC. So Ravens dangerous, and probably their best chance at getting to a Super Bowl, I believe, is probably this year. While you have Derrick Henry playing this good, you got Lamar playing this good. I like what I'm seeing out of them. Want to go over to one of the other top teams in the league, the Detroit Lions, come out with another win, 34-17 over the Chicago Bears. I don't know why the Lions like disrespecting people. They run trick plays to linemen. They run reverses. They just had a play last week where they faked fumbling the ball, get up and throw a touchdown. I don't know why they like disrespecting people in their wins, but I love to see it. They come out with a win 34-17 over the Bears. The Bears just completely fell apart. Starting the season off 4-2. Everybody said, oh, man, Caleb Williams playing great. He's turned around the Bears. He's going to be the best Bears quarterback in franchise history, which you can still do all of that. But as far as this year, that's not happening. 4-2 to start the season. Right now they're 4-11. Lost 9 games in a row. 9. Offensive line has played terrible. Caleb Williams is up and down. Some games he's terrible. Last week he got some empty calorie stats. 26 for 40, 334 yards, 2 touchdowns. Didn't turn the ball over, but a lot of those stats came in garbage time, I ain't going to lie. Keenan Allen, 141 yards and a touchdown. On the Lions side, we know what this offense can do. It's the defense of why we say that this team, or why I say this team isn't going to be in the Super Bowl. I'll say that because I think they can still get to the NFC Championship. Why I think they won't be in the Super Bowl is because their defense, too many injuries. Way too many injuries. All their best pass rushers outside of Zadarius Smith, who they traded for, hurt. That's why I think they won't be able to get to that next level and get into that final level, which is the Super Bowl. They were in the NFC Championship last year, and I think that's probably their ceiling again this year because of their defense. But we know what their offense can do. Jared Goff, 336 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. We should be used to that. Jared Goff's been playing like that all year. Jahmyr Gibbs, 23 carries, 109 yards, and a touchdown. David Montgomery, season-ending surgery, potentially season-ending. There's reports that he might have a chance of being able to come back, which I don't know how he'll do that, but reports that he might be able to come back. But Jahmyr Gibbs is enough to be able to carry the load because I think he's emerged this year as one of a top 5 back in the league. He doesn't get the same amount of carries as some of these other guys get, but I think he's a top 5 talent at the running back spot in the league. Receivers, we know this team is stacked. Sam Laporta, one of the best tight ends in the league. Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of the best receivers in the league. He has 70 yards and a touchdown. Jamison Williamson, he's the guy that when he's going, he's a game breaker for the Lions. He's a guy that can take over the game, that can ruin somebody's season, that can end somebody's season in the playoffs because of his speed. 5 catches, 143 yards and a touchdown. Had an 82-yard bomb that he caught yesterday. This Lions team still as dangerous as ever. Like I said, I think their ceiling is the NFC Championship. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I just think there's too many injuries that they won't be able to fight through on the defensive side of the ball. And I feel all right saying that because I know it's not a lot of Lions fans listening with me. I know most of the people listening on here are Cowboys fans, and y'all hate the Lions. At least this year y'all do. It seems like all the Cowboys fans I ran into want the Lions to stay sorry or something, mad at the Lions because they're good. I don't know why. Just because they beat up on the Cowboys like that don't mean you got to hate them. They're not even one of y'all rivals. But the Lions, 13-2 now, right there for that number 1 seed in the NFC, especially since Philadelphia lost to Jaden Daniels in that game. One of the other top teams and the MVP candidate, Josh Allen, narrowly gets a victory over the New England Patriots, 24-21. Josh Allen been playing like an MVP candidate all year, but games like this is what makes Lamar jump over Josh Allen in the MVP race, in my opinion. They're both right there neck and neck in stats. They come into this week. Lamar's got to play one of the tougher teams in the league, a team he hadn't been able to beat all year. And Josh Allen's playing against one of the weaker teams in the league. But yet, Lamar goes and shines, and Josh Allen plays pedestrian at best. 16 for 29, 154 yards, a touchdown and a pick, as the Bills beat the Patriots 24-21. James Cook ran for 100 yards in this game, and he also caught the only other touchdown. Nobody else did anything in this game, in my opinion. The Patriots were locking them up. Matter of fact, if it wasn't for a reverse lateral that fumbled into the end zone that the Bills picked up, Patriots could have won this game. And we'd have been looking at this Bills team completely different. I still think the Bills are one of the top teams in the AFC. But like I said, the Ravens can beat anybody in the AFC. I think Lamar should get his third MVP. I don't know if he will, because I think they're going to have voters fatigue. I don't think they want to make him a 3-time MVP. That's going to put him almost in a class of his own. It's going to put him in a whole nother room in the Hall of Fame. Right now he's off to a Hall of Fame style career, but that's going to put him in a whole nother room with the Aaron Rodgers, with the Peyton Mannings, with the Tom Brady's. Got to be able to close it out and win that chip. But as far as individual accolades, Lamar is one of one. I think he should get the MVP over Josh Allen. And games like this proved it, in my opinion. Now, everybody, want to thank you guys for listening in with us today. We got a Monday night game, so I want to talk a little bit about that. It's not a great one. Like I said, I don't know how these Thursday night games end up being better than the Monday night games. Used to be reversed. But as of right now, we got the Saints and the Packers. Yeah, it's not much to get up for. But it is some football for all of our football fans out there. It is something to watch, even though now we're getting football on Christmas. I don't know how the NBA feels about that. Christmas Day used to be all about the NBA, and Thanksgiving was for football. But as you can see, the NFL has gotten greedy. Well, they stay greedy, and they go on to Christmas Day to try to take that over too. So we'll get some good football games in a couple days. But tonight we'll get one of those type of football games as Green Bay Packers at home taking on the New Orleans Saints. The Packers are 14.5-point favorites. Now, y'all know me. I'm not picking nothing like that. I'm not taking a 14.5-point spread in the NFL. It's the NFL. You don't never know how it's going to go. Not even saying that the Packers can't beat the Saints like this. But it's the same thing I said a couple of weeks ago when I told y'all stay away from that Panthers and Eagles game. And the Panthers almost came out there and won that game, even though the Eagles were 14-point favorites. I don't do 14-point favorites in the NFL. Everybody out there's getting paid. Everybody's a professional. I'm not doing that. So I wouldn't take that bet. Obviously, you could try that money line, but Green Bay money line is minus 1,200 right now. So you're not going to get much. You're going to have to put that in a parlay with some other stuff, or maybe some of these NBA games if you want to be able to do that. But obviously, I think Green Bay is going to win this. Green Bay is one of my favorite teams in the league to watch right now. Jordan Love's been playing good. Josh Jacobs has upgraded this team in a major way. Jaden Reed, really good. Christian Watson, I like those guys I got on the defensive side, even though some of them aren't playing tonight, like Quay Walker, Jair Alexander, Evan Williams, all out tonight. See, stuff like that is what makes me say, man, I'm not touching 14.5 points. I'm not touching it. I know y'all look. Some of y'all look to me to see, who am I going to pick in this game, or what point total and all that. Hey, I'm not touching that. I'm not touching that. Point total is 43.5. Yeah, I'm not touching that. I like the over. As a matter of fact, I like the over. I like the over on 43.5. No, I don't. Never mind. I don't like the over. I had to think about it for a second. I don't like the over. Stay away from this game, man. Maybe you can find some player props in this one. Not sure what Jacobs' prop is on here. I will take Jacobs' prop if it's not too high. For those of you that do the player props, I will take Jacobs' prop if it's not too high on there. I might take Alvin Kamara and catch it, something like that. But as far as the point total, money line, and the spread, I'll take Green Bay money line, but I'm not touching anything else outside of that, man. 14.5 is too crazy of a point total. I'm not doing that. I'm not sure about that 43.5 points either. So I'll take their money line. But you're going to put it in with another parlay. You're going to look at some of these NBA games on the slate tonight and try to put that in the parlay with some of those because you're not going to get much for those. And then a lot of the NBA games have already started tonight. But there's still a good amount that you can pick from on here that you can clean up and kind of put into a parlay. Got the Lakers in Detroit. That's one you could put into there. You take Lakers minus 5.5. Pick up some easy ones in there. You got Dallas and Portland that you can pick up in there. Maybe take Dallas money line. They got them 13.5. That's kind of high. You can take Golden State and versus the Pacers. Take Golden State minus 5.5. So there's some ways you can kind of clean that up and come up with something there. Obviously, you could take OKC versus Washington money line. You ain't going to get much money for it, but that's an obvious dub for OKC. But want to thank all you guys for tuning in with me today. Like I said, only show of the week because it is the holidays. We might come back for Thursday, but as of right now, it's looking like this might be the only show for the week. So once again, want to thank you guys for tuning in with me today. Want to thank you guys for all your support. Got a lot of good comments from calling the state game last week. Want to thank you guys for that. And also just want to remind you guys, subscribe on YouTube, Centex Sports Network TV. Subscribe. You can also click the bell and get notified. Or you can go to my Instagram, hit that follow button at Jalen Gillis. You can also follow the show's Instagram at Centex Primetime. So once again, want to thank you guys for tuning in with me today. We're out of time. Happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas. Don't stress out. Don't go broke trying to get Christmas gifts. Those kids will be okay, I'm telling you. So don't stress out. Don't go too overboard. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Happy holidays. And we will see you guys next week here on the show. Thanks once again, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a great night.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue